Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Just before this video begins, I want to announce a giveaway that I will be doing on the channel where the first 1000 subscribers will be entered into a giveaway to win a £10 gift card for Xbox, PS4 or Steam, depending on your preferred platform. So just simply subscribe to have a good chance at winning this prize. Once the channel hits the sub goal, the winner will be announced via your YouTube community post. Best of luck. The much awaited Garten of Banban 3 has just released yesterday, and let me be the first one to tell you that without a doubt it is an absolute masterpiece. But not only am I the first person to tell you it's a masterpiece, but probably also the last, because most likely you will never hear this phrase ever again. Now it's time for the non-sarcastic, honest intro. Garten of Banban 3 is pretty much just a carbon copy of the previous two games with very minor adjustments. Garten of Banban 3 is a game that you can purchase and you can play it. It houses some pretty god-awful gameplay and some questionable lore that I will get into later, but worst of all, it's just very uninspiring and frankly makes me want to go to sleep. But you know, at the end of the day, I am a positive guy and I want things to change for the better, so I'm going to talk about how this whole situation can be improved. In general, this whole idea of mascot horror is a very saturated genre, so a game needs to be pretty unique to get a good looking. Don't get me wrong, the Garten of Banban franchise is unique in its own ways. Sadly, right now it just doesn't seem like they care at all about the quality of the game, and they're already telling you to wishlist the fourth one. They release a pretty shocking game, then work on another one for a few months and release that one and just keep on doing it. They aren't actually making any good products, they're just trying to milk the Banban name whilst it still retains some sort of relevance. The real problem is that so many indie games are just so much better. Take literally any FNAF fan game, Bendy and the Ink Machine, and even Poppy Playtime. I understand that the Euphoric brothers are only 2 people, so it's an extremely small team, and I really do just respect the idea of 2 brothers making games together, but at this point they most certainly have the funds to go bigger and to go better. So quickly, just before I start, this is my final message to the Euphoric brothers. You guys have just created a franchise that gained a decent amount of traction, and that's great. I'm sure you guys learned a lot about game development while you were creating these games. So now I beg that you guys take your newly found development skills as well as your profits to create a game that you actually put some love and passion into, and most importantly, something that you can be proud of. My advice is to just completely ditch this whole Garten of Banban franchise and to just start anew using your internet influence in a good way. Now finally onto this game, Garten of Banban 3. First things first, I think it's really important to mention this point, and this is something that my good friend Donny Production has also talked about. He took a look at the first game and I will leave his video in the description below. The environmental atmosphere of Garten of Banban 3 is terrible because it is non-existent. Apart from cutscenes and certain events like boss fights, this game is entirely silent. Literally, the only 2 things you can hear are your footsteps and your drone beeping. And while silence in horror can be absolutely terrifying if it's done right. But in Garten of Banban, not just the third one but all 3 of the games is not done right because it is silent the whole way through. Even when you occasionally get the little jump scare or scare when a character pops up from behind a corridor and retreats their head or whatever, this type of action has no sound effect attached to it. How could you possibly create a so-called horror game with 0 ambience? As a result of this magnificent sound design, there is almost never a threat and literally no situation is tense whatsoever, sort of defeating the whole purpose of this being a somewhat scary game. Also, another thing to do with sound is, for some reason, when you're in that big room with the orange jellyfish, the sound comes from the right even though he's talking at you from the middle.
Not to undermine your efforts, but I fear that moment may never come. I cannot let it happen. and I will gladly
And in terms of the soundtrack of this game, I'm pretty sure only 1 or 2 tracks are ever used, and this is pretty much just in the finale. Throughout my playthrough, I'm pretty confident that there is only a total of 2 voice actors in the game, one being a euphoric brother and some random voice actor. To be fair to them, whoever did the voice for the white Banban that's a female did a pretty good job. I mean, their performance is pretty much Oscar worthy compared to what the euphoric brother voiced.
So again, I apologize for hitting you over the head. In fact, it is for this reason that I believe we should not meet face to face.
In terms of the voice that you hear over the intercom, who is actually Banban, and I'm pretty sure that's the same voice used for the big orange jellyfish and the distorted Banban. The only difference is that there's voice effects put on their voice.
I was supposed to be down in the dark and cold depths of the facility. No liver, no intestines, but most importantly, no pancreas.
This voice acting is slightly improved from the second game, but it's still very boring and monotone and adds nothing whatsoever. And whichever euphoric brother voiced this character, it really does not fit the distorted devil Banban as well as the big orange jellyfish. No matter how many audio tweaks and sound effects they put over the voice, it just does not sound natural, and I really think they should have hired someone else to do it. But maybe my expectations for audio are just way too high, as this is a Garten of Banban game. But unfortunately, I am going to be moving on from the magnificent audio of this game and talking about how the game actually looks, how good it looks, how well is it optimized, and what are the graphics like. I'm going to start this section by saying how Banban somehow managed to mess with my computer's resolution. My monitor's aspect ratio is 21:9, but because of Banban, for some reason it doesn't go back to 16:9 even if I try, and this was still an issue after I restarted my PC. Taking a quick look into the settings of Garten of Banban 3, you can see that there are not many settings available. In fact, there isn't even a section for audio, meaning you either have to go into system settings or change your desktop sound if Garten of Banban 3 is too loud or quiet for you. Looking at the resolution settings, I'm not sure if I'm missing something or not, but from what I can see, this game can't physically go above 1080p, which I guess in the grand scheme of things isn't that much of an issue, but it does mean I had to play the game like this. Yeah, not very fun. Also, sometimes randomly my frames are either uncapped or they were capped at 60. But to be fair, this is an absolute godsend compared to what the optimization was with the previous game. Maybe they've gone to fix the issue where some of the character models had millions of polygons and would absolutely lag out the whole game. In terms of how the whole game looks in general, it's still very bland and uninspired as before. This kind of adds to the vibe that the environment in this game makes you feel absolutely nothing as a player, if anything only boredom. The character designs and models are once again just not scary in the slightest way, and some of them looks like they were made in about 15 minutes. Once again, the lighting is either fully lit up corridors with very powerful industry lights or just pitch darkness. Hopefully in Garten of Banban 4 they managed to figure out how to dim the lights. The glorious gameplay of Garten of Banban 3 is pretty much just jumping on things or doing fetch quests. You know, I'm just so glad that the developers took from their roots of the first Banban game by making you run around the room like an idiot picking up brown colored objects. Actually, you know what, I'm wrong. In the first Banban game you actually picked up blue objects. Wow, they really have changed the gameplay. But other than this, I do think that there is a somewhat cool section where you act as a surgeon, mixing together these elements and injecting them into this Play-Doh spider. Or I think that's what it is. I think the reason why this was more of an interesting section is because you were doing more than literally just one thing at a time, using a different combination of tools as well as elements to bring this thing back to life. Also, they definitely have improved on the animation quality of the characters. Also, that section of the game when you turn into that orange jellyfish and you can spray out these electric pulses, I think that was pretty cool too. Whilst unfortunately the lore wasn't as good as Five Nights at Freddy's, it was pretty decent for Banban. I do think that this part of the game was my favorite.
I am struggling to locate the being who asked for your opinion.
I mean, just what an absolute savage. Fortunately for us, Garten of Banban 3 does provide us some hints at that sweet Banban lore. We learn more about the characters and what is going on at this godforsaken kindergarten. Garten of Banban 3 takes a specific focus on that big orange jellyfish as well as the devil Banban. And we have some old beloved characters returning, Banban, Jumbo Josh, and that white Banban lady. Is Garten of Banban 3 worth the asking price of $5? Absolutely not. If you want, you can already wishlist the 4th one, and if we look at the Steam page, you can see screenshots of one corridor. Garten of Banban 3 is sort of an improvement over the previous games, however I will likely forget that I even played it in about a week. Best of luck to the Euphoric brothers for the future. I would love to go on talking about Garten of Banban 3 for hours, but unfortunately I do need to send out a refund request. So whilst I am busy with that, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.